on that, you mentioned that we may be going to a slum area. Are people more apt to come up to you looking for money, or the children coming up to you to beg, or
everywhere?
Okay. and how do we handle that? Do we pay some attention to them, or
We'll talk a little bit more about all the nuances of that. We basically say no, don't give out money. There may be some situations where you can channel something through the local pastor. There may be some situation when we're away from crowds and something where you could ask Stephanie or me and we'd say, yeah, I think that might be appropriate. And we'll be asking the nationals we're with what is appropriate. We basically have to avoid giving funds out because typically we do a lot more damage than good when we do that. There's no way for us cross-culturally to know who has a real need, sincerity, and also we don't want it to be that Americans are giving out money. We want any funds we were to give, we want to go through the local church so that their witness is strengthened, that they are the one showing compassion. So that's just an overview, but there are some things that are tricky about how to tackle that. But we take very much don't give any money out, and that includes to translators, any of the church people. Everybody has needs. They all see America as the bright shining light of prosperity that can help solve their problems. And so it's very important to not head down that path. But we will help you and we will address that more. Even making promises and giving out email addresses, we'll go over that several times. We don't make promises, oh, I'll send you this photo. You don't want to do that. You may never get back to them and then you haven't fulfilled a promise and things. So a lot of things that we'll talk more about that are tricky about the cross-cultural experience.
That can be hard too because going to India, you see poverty like we just don't see. We were just talking on the way up here. Gosh, you go there and you see the way people live. You want to give them everything you have, but we have seen that can cause problems that we don't really understand. We just don't.
Are we able to take pictures, bring our cameras, that kind of thing?
Yes,
okay.
very much.
In fact, we have John who wants to video
that's
the whole trip
absolutely.
for us.
I usually wear I do some professional photography. That's part of how I make a living, and both weddings and also a lot of travel types of things. I have a very expensive camera and several lenses. I wear a camera and a lens the entire day. It's not like I take it out to take a picture. It's always there. And I've actually, at first I didn't, think that I'd do that. I thought it'd be a distraction. I found it's less a distraction actually for me just to always have it. Sharing the gospel, time to take a picture. When I'm done sharing and that somebody receives the Lord, I just say, welcome to the family of God. We're now brothers and sisters or whatever, I'll talk about that. And I'll then make a big deal about, now you can tell people that you have a brother in America and you won't be lying because I really am your brother now. Or something like that. And then I'll say, but you know what, I need a family picture. I want to be able to pray for you, remember you. Can I get, it's okay if I take your picture. And I'll take a picture of really everybody. And most of the places in India seem to feel more like it's an honor to have their picture taken. And so, but locally there might be certain sensitivities, and we'll find that out specifically where we are. Like taking pictures when you're passing an embassy, we found that's not a good idea because then the security stops you and you don't make it to your flight in time because they don't want pictures of embassies. Or we'll try to help guide you on what's appropriate.
Are there any shots that we should take before we?
Yes. And I guess this is a good time to talk about 3 things that will give you more information. When you sign up, we'll be sending you a whole variety of things. Instructions on health issues, packing, you know, all kinds of stuff regarding, you know, all the little logistics. What's the electricity? What kind of outlets do I need? What kind of converters? All that kinds of stuff we'll cover. But here are some things. One is that you do need to check the site cdc.gov, that's the Center for Disease Control, and look up India, and it will guide you on the various things for you to consider. Do you already have this or not? You know, it'll like say tetanus. Well, you may have already had a tetanus shot the last 5 years or however many years they say. And it'll cover the things that you need to explore on that. We'll also do a little bit more research if there's anything specific in that area. But malaria is usually a problem in most of the areas of India, so you would get pills that you would take. And I'll have a few things to say on that later that we just don't have time now, because we want you to talk to your doctor, we want you to look at the CDC. There's one weekly kind that I just kind of say be cautious about, because it can cause nightmares for a small percentage of people. And you know, you're already cross-cultural. Do you really want that? There's a daily version that doesn't have quite the same side effects. So that's one issue, is looking at shots and malaria medication. And the second is you need a passport. That can take 5 to 8 weeks sometimes, and right now probably more than a 5-week time period. That would be a high priority. That would be one of the first things. That is your own expense to get that. If you already have a passport, obviously there's no issue. The third is that there's a visa you have to get for India. That's no longer something we can do as a group. It's really something you do. We'll give you instructions. You do that online. Those three things all can have some expense to you that's not included, that's out of your own pocket. So one of the things I encourage, if you have family members that are going to support you on the trip, you may want to invite them or have somebody help you just directly with some of those expenses if you need to. But those three things, I think, are the primary things you'd want to think about fairly early in the process.
Yeah, a passport is definitely something you need to get moving on right away. But even the visa and the shots, I would encourage you to just, if you know you're going to go, start moving forward with that, because as the date of the trip gets closer, there's lots of stuff, you know, that comes up, and you just got to get it all done. So you'll save yourself some stress by getting those things out of the way early.